Hey everyone, Mango7Roll here. How we doing today? Welcome to another episode of Epic 7, and today is a Thursday balance adjustment preview. And to note, I've not read this yet. I just woke up. I've been trying to not stay up until like 4 a.m. and ruin my sleep and everything to do videos right as they come out. So apologies for that. It's a little bit later, but I still haven't got spoiled. And we're going to jump into this. Before we do, this isn't a sponsor. This is just a partnership I have, which is not the same thing, but kind of the same thing with Nisa. My favorite place for games that I've been buying from for like way before I started streaming. I just got this in from them. I want to thank them so much. I'll leave a link in the description down there below. Rhapsody, a musical adventure. And on the other side, we've got the La Pucelle Ragnarok. I'm super excited to play these games again. They are re-releases from ages old past, and I'm just so stoked for that. Thank you again, Nisa. Link in the description if you want to check out their sites. They do Disgaea, Atelier, all stuff like that. So, let's go like this. So, again, no idea who's coming. Epic 7 Ezrain's Foundation Day has passed. We would like to sincerely thank all of our heirs for being always to strive to do our best. Yep, 9 heroes and 2 artifacts. So let me actually make sure everything's on the screen here. I know I have a habit of not having everything on screen. So give me 1 second. Let me get this to the right size here. We can go like that. Okay, I think that's good, right? Yeah, that's good. So 9 heroes and 2 artifacts. So with this balance adjustment, certain heroes that have been absent in the current meta will be adjusted. Details of the balance adjustment for the selected heroes and artifacts are as followed. Straze, interesting. I always thought Straze is still good right now, is he not? Like, especially for Guild War, maybe not in RTA. Ravi, I thought Ravi was still good too, just not as good as her counterparts. Kayron, I can definitely see this. Arya, I thought Arya was good too. Interesting. These are interesting choices, I think. Taiyu, which definitely needed it. Rowana, I thought Rowana was fine as well. I guess we'll see what the changes are. Blaze Dingo definitely need it. Kiwana, let's go. I'm most excited for Kiwana here. And Hasel. So actually 9 units instead of like 5 units and a bunch of spec changes. So this is pretty sweet. Wasn't sure what I was expecting, but it definitely was not Straze. I thought he was still great. He's got a spot in PvE technically as well. I use him for my Banshee one-shot team. It'll be really funny if they kill that somehow. And they're changing. Oh, Magic for Friends gonna get a nerf. Magic for Friends gonna get a nerf. And then Unfading Memories. It's too good to get a buff, right? It's too good to get a buff. They can't buff Magic for Friends. Okay, so Star Extinction. Awaken. So cannot trigger a counterattack. I mean, why not? You know, why not? And penetration rate condition alleviated. Penetrates defense of the target. What does that say? Straze is a hero who can exert overwhelming power if his attack is greater than his enemy. He's strong when conditions are met, but is difficult to utilize his full strength in PvP. Therefore, Star Extinction will be improved to not trigger a counterattack, and its condition to reach the maximum penetration rate will also be alleviated. Interesting. Battle more effectively against the enemies who utilize counterattacks and have high health. That's like the entire meta. We'll see how this works. I wasn't sure what they would need to do, right? Like he's already Straze. He already does good stuff. And if you can use him in Guild War and still one-shot all the things, but I think when they say PvP, they really just mean RTA, right? They really just mean RTA, I think. Anyway, let's go to Ravi here. Ravi starts the battle with 40 fighting spirit. That definitely is a huge boost. Effectiveness by 15 as well. That up by 5 is also pretty good. Because that's an extra 75 effectiveness, which is great. Now, Devil Drive here penetrates the target's defense by 50%. Okay. So I don't know much about Ravi. I've never really used her. I didn't Mulligora her because I was always in the Araminta camp, and that took all my red unit Molagoras early in the game. And I mean, I imagine this is going to help, right? Like, we're going to lower her damage by a bit, but it's going to be increased by pen, right? So let's see. Just the initial impact with the fighting spirit might be enough to do a bunch of stuff, right? I'm not sure how her flow of battle works, but starting with 40 is a lot better than starting with 0, right? So Ravi will be adjusted to gain a certain amount of fighting spirit at the start of the first battle so that she can use Devil Drive more frequently. Moreover, her skill Devil Drive will be changed to pen some of the target's def so that she is more effective against enemies with high defense. As defense pen will be added to the skill, as attack scaling will be decreased, but the actually like I said, I figured the damage dealt would be increased. And the effectiveness is nothing to shrug at too, because getting 75 effectiveness versus the 50% is pretty big, right? Is that not pretty big? Like, that jump, if you go on like a effectiveness calculator and put in some ER rates versus that, I think that's a decent amount. Cool. Oh, the exclusive equipment now has 75% chance to burn. Now it has a 70% chance to make the enemy unable to be buffed. Interesting. I'm not sure what I think about this. But I guess somebody will tell me in the comments. These are a lot of units I've never used before, so I'm kind of interested in how this will work. And because they added the new thing that I can plus 12 people instantly and test them out, I can actually try some of these units out, like Kairon as well, right? So, yeah, I guess 70% chance is a lot better than the 35% chance to burn, right? I don't like how it's only one turn, though. As there will be a change to our EE, players will be able to change the option for this equipment. Yeah. So, Kairon here. So, I haven't fought a Kairon as long as I can remember. So, attacks with a sword, 50% chance, decrease hit chance. Yep. And when this skill is used, if it was not triggered by a dual attack and the caster has a buff, the skill changes into attack that targets all enemies. The change attack does not trigger a dual attack. So this goes from his passive before to his skill 1 now. And now it gives him immortality and evasion. I don't know what to think about that. I don't know what to think about that. Evasion doesn't seem the greatest there because he's going to be down at 1 HP, right? Now, these are a lot of changes I'm not sure about again. Y'all are probably yelling at me in the comments. Remember, I have not read anything. This is me going completely blind on units I've never used before. And I also don't play RTA too much, so maybe it makes a huge difference there, right? So Kairon is a hero who seeks opportunities to turn the table by inflicting great damage after surviving with immortality, which is triggered by his passive skill. However, he was easily neutralized when his immortality was dispelled and killed afterwards, or debuffed. Oh, yeah, good call there. So Immortal will be able to grant evasion when receiving lethal damage, so he has a chance to resist immortality to spells and debuffs. I was thinking it would help him to survive, but it's to help him with keeping immortality up. That makes more sense. Cool. So we then have Arya here. I didn't think Arya needed a buff. So before Shadow Call, when it's not the caster's turn, effect chance goes up by 20%. So she has a 70% now when it's not her turn, which of course she buffs the counter attack. And damage dealt increase is kind of sick too. I thought she did a lot of damage. I really like her design. She might be somebody I invest a little bit more into because I do really like her design. And I think if I can get a good team going with her in Guild War, I might have some fun with some units, you know? So now damage dealt increased of Guide of Darkness. And they're decreasing the critical hit damage here. So we're losing the critical hit damage and just getting damage dealt increase on that. And then barrier strength increases here. Interesting. So Arya is a hero who specializes in casting debuffs on enemies, inflicting damage with counter and protecting allies. Through these adjustments, her damage, debuff effects, and survivability will be increased to fulfill her role more efficiently. First, Shadow Call will have an increased chance to decrease hit chance of all enemies if not triggered during her turn. Increased hit chance is such a powerful debuff. It will also have its barrier strength increased, and her passive skill will no longer grant crit damage as her health decreases. Instead, we just increase the damage on her skills. Cool. I like that. So that's a pretty sick change, I think, and yeah, I like that. That looks like a lot of fun. Just this getting 70% decrease hit chance is pretty solid, especially with damage dealt increase just here. I'm pretty excited to try her out. I know not much functionally seemed to change, but I think she just got a little more solid. Now Taiyu. So Taiyu Tornado Sweep attacks all enemies, dispels all buffs instead of 2 buffs. Also gives himself attack speed, and when he's in rage, he now ignores ER. Okay. So that's pretty cool, right? That's very, very powerful. Taiyu will be adjusted to contain enemies who use non-attack skills more effectively. Tornado Sweep will be changed to dispel all buffs. Also grant increased speed to the caster for 2 turns after using the skill. Yeah, that's a cool buff. I'm not sure how much of a change this will do, but that's a cool buff for sure. We have Rowana. This one was a little bit weird. So, oh, it's just one small change. So, with the Grace of Rekos, recovers the health of all allies and grants a barrier and revive for 2 turns. Okay. I don't I don't understand, right? Like, out of all people, why just randomly Rowana give them a barrier? One of the biggest counters to Rowana was like unbuffable, right? So this just like another unbuffable block? Interesting. I don't know what to think about that. I don't know why. Seems so weird, but it's a good change, especially for PvE, I think. So we then have Dingo. So Dingo attacks all enemies with a giant gauntlet. 75% chance to decrease defense for 2 turns. Okay, so he's got defense break on his skill 1 now. Can't argue with that. That's actually a pretty unique set then. Having a PvE unit that's able to also heal and defense break is pretty nuts, right? Like that's a pretty good one in a like One Punch Man sort of thing, you know? I'm not sure where we would use it, but having a healer with defense down is very powerful. And Kiwana. Okay, so let's see. So attacks all enemies with a Flame Guardian before increases the attack. Grant skill nullifier once to fire allies. Okay, I mean that's something. Oh. That's it? Come on. Come on. So they basically made it so she boosts fire elemental heroes no matter whether it's just her or somebody else, or like a water and 2 fires instead of just 3 fires. I mean, obviously it's an improvement, but come on. We expect Kiwana to be used in various team combinations. Really? We expect Kiwana. I mean, I'm going to try. I love Kiwana. She's one of my favorite characters, so I'm definitely going to try. And Hasel here. So, Hasel's a character I used in place of Pylus sometimes. She was really good at longer battles like Pylus was used for, but she had a little bit more push at the end. She actually did an extra ton of damage with her fixed damage, and it was actually pretty interesting to be able to tank for so long and then eventually just poke people for a ton of damage until you dual attack kill them, right? So, actually, no, not dual attack kill them, when you just poke them eventually and kill them. So, Swift Cut here, healing decreased. Okay, so they didn't change anything except for make it so it's on anybody's turn and decrease the healing, which will help for the dual attack situations. And then when an ally suffers counterattack, decreases damage suffered by 25%. That's pretty good. And after an enemy counterattacks, increases CR of the caster by 25%. Increases the fixed damage of Swift Cut by 1,000. And Punishing Strike. Okay. So they're buffing Punishing Strike and Swift Cut now. That's pretty sick. I'm pretty happy with this. Hasel was a great Guild War unit to use, and I think she's very, 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 very good for certain situations. Whoa, there's still more. So Punishing Strike. Instead of increasing speed of the caster, what does it do? Attacks all enemies, additionally extra fixed damage. Yeah, that's really sick. Increased defense of all allies and grants a barrier to the caster. I don't know if that's better or worse than speed. And damage dealt and barrier strength increases proportion to the caster's max health. After suffering a counterattack, decreases skill cooldowns by 1 turn. Okay, I'm not sure about this. So before, you kind of had to build her tanky, but now because this is this line is gone, we can now use her on a counter set. So we can use her in a counter set just to do a ton of counterattack damage and still keep her really tanky. We can build her slow, so we don't need the speed buff as much because we have the counterattack set. I'm really kind of curious about this. This looks really fun. This is my favorite change on here so far. So Hasel is a hero characterized by her skill Swift Cut, which increases fitch damage when the enemy counterattacks. However, the effect only applied to Swift Cut. Yes, I agree with that. To strengthen her weakness, fixed damage will be added to her skill Punishing Strike, and the increased fixed damage from Blade of Vengeance will be applied to all of her skills. In addition, Blade of Vengeance will decrease damage. Yeah, that's pretty sick. That's a lot of counterattack damage done there. I'm pretty excited to try this. So what did they do to Magic for Friends? Decreased damage suffered by a critical hit by 30%. They buffed it? Why? Why would you buff Magic for... Oh, what's this? Will not act... Oh, why? They double buffed it. Why would they do this? It was so good. There's so many artifacts that needed help. We definitely didn't need to increase Mercedes' viability. I'm not arguing. She's like my favorite unit to use. Wow. That is unexpected. She did not need that. So weird. So Unfading Memories now increases ER by 25%. Nice. I like this. Any way to get a little bit more flat ER is fantastic. And also extra healing too. Oh, we also have a change of schedule for balance adjustments and adding new exclusives. So we often had issues where balance adjustments were mismatched and there was a balance adjustment right before the season end. Next balance adjustment on the 27th, so in a month and a week. Okay. Exclusive equipment, which was originally planned to be added on 10/27, will be added on 11/24? My god. That's so long without exclusive equipments. Yeah. What? Yeah, this was a really weird balance patch to me. So like I really didn't think Straze needed a buff. I really didn't think Arya needed a buff. I really didn't think Rowana needed a buff. I think Ravi was actually in a fine spot as well. She was obviously not as good as counterparts, but nobody needs to be that good. You know, like nobody needs to be as good as Ravi, Ravi. The Kiwana change does basically nothing, I think. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I think it basically does nothing. Magic for Friends is like, what you doing, bro? You okay? Mercedes your favorite unit or something? But I'm pretty excited for these. I'm personally most excited to try out Hasel and Arya. Straze, I functionally don't think that does much for me because, yeah, functionally I don't think this does much for me for how I use Straze, especially now since he's a PvE bot for me. I will definitely try out these two with the extra change, the free boost to maxed out basically. I do have Taiyu Mulligord. I will definitely try this. Rowana, I think that's a great change for PvE. Dingo, I don't see where this will be used, but it's a great change nonetheless. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody.